comfortable. And we may all have seen hundreds of pictures of various different meditators sitting on beaches and the edges of cliffs, cross-legged, and even the Buddha himself. But just to really remember that if we're going to pay attention to body sensations or difficult mind states, or be with joy or compassion, we really need to be comfortable in our body. But there's a few other tips as well, so I'm just going to take you through, and then hopefully you can have an experiment and work out what's best for you. So just say you decide to meditate because you're feeling really stressed and you just want to relax. And so of course we all think sofa, relaxation, maybe we sit back and we turn on the tape. And just to say, this is a really bad posture for a number of reasons. First of all, when you sit like this, the spine's really curved, and that means that your diaphragm here is kind of compressing in on itself. And so it's really hard for the breath to flow. But secondly, when you sit like this with your spine curved, it's really reminding your body on a very subliminal level of when we were in the womb, all curved over, all contented and happy. So yes, relaxing, but very liable to fall asleep. Energy levels will drop. And if we want to pay attention and be awake, then having the spine in this curved shape isn't conducive to what we're looking for. For other times, yes, definitely, but not for sitting meditation. So then maybe best to move off the sofa and onto perhaps a hardback chair. When we sit on a hardback chair, the most important thing is that our feet touch the floor. So if you're a little bit shorter in height, then it's best to get something to help, maybe a book. I've got a dictionary here, and you can put that down and put your feet on that, and that just brings your feet flat to the floor. But sometimes it can bring your knees a bit too high. We'll talk about that in a moment. So you might need a skinnier volume. So play about finding the right book so that when you sit, your knees are lower than your hip joint. So just for me and my height, this chair isn't too bad at all. My hip is just fractionally higher than my knee, and my feet can reach the floor. Because if your knees are higher, so say I put both of these here just to demonstrate, if we have too much height, if we're very tall, then we're going to get the same effect that we had on the sofa of the spine curving out, which isn't helpful. And the last thing we want to do is use loads of muscles up the spine to hold ourselves up. Because if we have to engage a lot of muscles to sit up, it doesn't take long before they're really tired and they ache, or we start to collapse. And then we can become really restless in the meditation. The body's not comfortable, we can't settle, we can't pay attention because there's a lot of discomfort, maybe even pain. So what can really help is to make sure that you have your feet flat on the floor or on books, but in doing that, that the knee joint is still a tiny bit lower than the hip. And then the spine can rise up without needing to be held up and without collapsing down. And for many people, it's really helpful to sit away from the back of the chair so that you can find that alignment. And then as you meditate, especially as you meditate a bit more frequently, you can explore and experiment with, am I leaning back? Am I leaning forward? Am I upright? But as beginners, sometimes being freestanding, just like one more thing, that's hard work and uncomfortable. So then we might want to take some cushions and just wedge them against the chair. So now you can see the spine is upright, but we're not collapsing back. So you have to find the right depth of cushions for your lower back. So for some people, sitting on a chair isn't what they want to do. If you've got really flexible hips, you might be interested in the traditional posture, sitting on the floor. This is full of lentils or beans or something, in which case we can take this and sit down. And if your hips are made to open outwards, then you can sit cross-legged. A couple of ways to sit cross-legged. I think the nicest, easiest is to have one heel in front of the other heel in line with the midline of the body. The correct alignment here, whereas this sometimes can feel uncomfortable, or you're just a little bit out of whack. There isn't quite the balance left and right. So you could try that with the heels in line, or if you really want to go the whole hog, the lotus position. But I must say, I've been working with this a bit recently, and sitting for half an hour is really full of discomfort and pain. So while it might have been a nice, easy, comfortable posture way back when in India, I'm not sure it is for most Western bodies these days. And if you've got the sort of hips that like won't fold down to the floor, it could be that you've got the bone structure that doesn't allow that, then this would be really uncomfortable, or even just sort of unstable to sit here, because you're kind of like balancing on the point of your sit bones or your bottom, and without the stability of your knees. So it can be helpful if your knees are a bit lower to find cushions to prop a knee or both knees. That can work for some people. But if you sit cross-legged, what's really important is this grounding, that you feel really stable, that you're like the base of a pyramid down touching the earth. And I have to say that there's been quite a lovely innovation that can really help with this, and that's a kneeling stool, which you can buy on the internet, not too expensive, and it's designed, as you can see, to have the tilt so that the hips are higher than the knees. You get into it like this. You hold the stool, make sure the hinges are pulled out, come to kneeling, insert the stool, make sure that it's flat to the floor, and sit down. And you can see the hips are higher than the knees, there's no external rotation of the thighs, the spine takes its natural uplift, and this can be a really comfortable way to sit for quite a long period of time if you want to make that investment and you're very keen to kneel. And last of all, if you happen to have one of these kneeling stools, this is also a really good way of getting that alignment. So careful into it, because it's on 4 wheels, they shoot away. You sit down, your knees come up onto the pad, and then the hips are higher than the knees, the spine is held in natural alignment. So if you have a lot of backache, then this can be a really good way to sit at your computer, to sit at the dining table, but also to sit in meditation. So I really hope that's helpful. I hope you've been able to see something there that will support you in your practice and to experiment with. Take care of yourself. Bye.